Welcome to the Lou Riley Live Show, a podcast about health, wellness, motivation, and success. Now, here's your host, Mr. Lou Riley.
Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Lou Riley Show. I'm Lou Riley, coming at you live from Nashville, Tennessee. Listen, today it's Monday afternoon. It's about 90 degrees here in Nashville. Feeling good. Got my exercise in early this morning, about 6:30 or so. Got done at about 8. And feeling pretty good. Listen, want to share some information with you, as always. And today's topic, I want to talk about, how to actually lose weight. And as I said before, I'll say again, right now I'm really focusing on those of you who are at the beginning stage. No matter if it's your first time beginning or your 50th time beginning, there's something that you're learning each and every time. Doesn't matter. You only fail when you completely give up. I've started over. I've mastered starting over. So listen, trust when I tell you, so long as you approach it as, I haven't necessarily failed. I found something that did not work. And I had to start to reframe my own experience so as to not get so down on myself. So I've been on a heck of a good run, well over a year with consistency. And I look at it as maybe now I'm finally ready, because those other times at that time I would call them failures, they really weren't failures. They were learning opportunities, and I took an opportunity to pull from that what I needed to, learned how to guard against myself when it came to some of the foods that I probably need to stay away from, learning how to prepare ahead of time, recognizing and accepting that food is another workout. And just like you prepare and you take time to exercise, food has to be the same way. And when you do those things, when you have an answer to the question, what am I going to eat? You're not in situations where you're starving, you haven't eaten in several hours, you're passing by everything fast food, your mind can't even slow down to even think, okay, I'm going to walk in this grocery store, I'm going to prepare these foods. And trust, stores are strategically set up for you to have those grab items. Hey, I'm going to cook dinner, but let me grab this piece of something right here and right now. It's just set up that way, and needless to say, how often you can pass by a fast food place, and obviously that's a quick solution. I'm no different when it comes to those things. But what I've learned is that the better prepared I am, the better able I am to answer the question what I'm going to eat. So what I want to spend the rest of this time I'm spending with you on, as I have it written down, but trust when I say I can take off on a tangent, because that's just how I think, and it's my podcast, and I get every right to do it. But I promise you, someplace this all connects. It's all connected. So hopefully you don't have trouble staying with me. I don't think you will. But just want to point that out, because I start to step back and see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. While it's weird like that. So today I want to talk about the person who's at the beginning, at the starting line, and again, doesn't matter if this is your first starting line or your 50th or your 100th, doesn't matter. But sometimes you got to get back to the basics. So I jotted down a couple of things that, if I was advising somebody on getting started to lose weight, whether it's 10 pounds, whether it's 100 pounds, how would I go about? And none of this is in any particular order right now. Maybe when I do a book, it'll be in an order. I'm sure it will be. But this is just off the top of my head. And it's funny because as I take a look at the list of things I wrote down, none of these have you actually exercising. My first point is, and again, for those of you who want to lose weight, who need to lose weight, for those of you who know it's just time, it's time. I don't care how many X's they put on the clothes. I don't care how many extensions you can get for your car or to fly on fly on an airplane. I just don't care. You know that it's time. And that's the person who I'm speaking to the most. And if you know somebody that needs to hear this message, please share this podcast with them. But the first point I would discuss with somebody who's trying to lose weight is I'd have to ask, who are you surrounding yourself with? Okay? Who's your team? Who are you spending the most of your time with? And then take a look at some of their characteristics or how they play a role in your life. It's been said, and I always pull from wisdom that was here long before me, and I'm sure will be here long after I'm gone. But it says that if you want to judge a person, and I'm only paraphrasing, if you want to judge a person, you take a look at the company they keep. As it is said, birds of a feather flock together. How can two men walk lest they agree? Or if you hang with 9 broke friends, you're bound to be the 10th. You can tell a lot about a person simply by the company they keep. Now let me take inventory. The people that I hang around, the company that I keep, everybody is a former athlete, either professional or college athlete. Everybody. When I think of my close circle right now. Okay. In addition, they're all still very active, still enthusiastic about exercise. A couple are extreme fitness people. As I've said before, so they look the part, they talk the talk, and they walk the walk. And others are, participate in marathons, half marathons. You can catch them working out, running, jogging, lifting weights. Those are the kind of people I hang around. Because I know that I need to re-up on my information, or to not necessarily just asking information on the how-tos and the why-tos, but more so just being around people who part of your daily conversation is, hey man, did you get it in today? Oh yeah, man, I got up early this morning. Getting around people for whom the expectation is to exercise. I can remember part of what had me messed up. One of my college coaches, this is one of those tangents I told you about. One of my college coaches, I had 2 position coaches in college. One was awesome at teaching technique, and the other was awesome at providing a mindset in which to give that technique life. But my first position coach, I can remember him saying that he promised himself that when he was done playing college football, that he would never lift another weight, never exercise again. And in my mind, I was like, well, shoot, I can't wait for that day either. That had me messed up, and I use that example so as to say the kind of things that you're filling your brain with have to do with the kind of things that you're going to react to and respond to. Didn't know any better. It wasn't until I started getting around these exercise-minded people that I recognized that, what? Exercise didn't stop after you finished playing college ball. This is a lifetime commitment. It's a lifetime commitment. And that took me a minute to accept. I so very much wanted to do the least and get the most results out of it. I so very much wanted to exercise for a short period of time but get these long-term results. And things started to get easier for me when I started adjusting my mindset to the reality. The reality is that you didn't gain that weight in a day. You didn't gain it in a week. You didn't gain it in a couple of months. And neither will you lose it in a day or a week. And sometimes a couple of months. Sometimes it may take you a year. Sometimes it may take 2 years. Each of you have seen people around the internet who've lost massive amounts of weight. 200, 300, 400 pounds. You've seen those stories. So you know that it is possible. You can't say it's impossible. Maybe you think that it's not possible for you, and that's something we'll address, and we'll go on as I go further into these podcasts. We'll definitely spend a lot of time on adjusting your mindset and how to build that mindset. And one of the parts that helps you do that is to have people around you who are going to be positive, who are going to expect great things from you, who are going to check up on you. Some people help keep you accountable. Some of the people can actually work out with you because maybe they know they need to step up their game. And sometimes just out of caring for you, hey, if you want to get started, I'll go walk with you. And some people simply serve as motivation. Honestly, just yesterday, You know, a buddy of mine calls me. He said, "Man, I'm just leaving the park, just getting my exercise in." So he said, asked me, "Did you get it in?" And I said, "Well, I did a little yoga. I did, and what I did was about 50 minutes worth of abs through this yoga program that I deal with. I'll tell you guys about that another time. But I really didn't get any cardio in outside of that, and it was a great day outside yesterday. And just hearing them say that and talk about that, I say, you know what? Let me not let this day pass. And I tell you what he spoke about. He said, yeah, I had to get it in. And he said, you know how easy it is to lay down and convince yourself you need some rest. And before you know it, you've got a whole day, a whole 2 days have gone by. You hadn't exercised. And I'm like, gosh, that's true. Not knowing that I was going through that. I hadn't exercised since, I think, Friday. Friday. So it was Sunday. A whole day and a half had already passed. And I was about to let it slip on by, just laying on the couch, flipping channels, watching NBA basketball and a couple of reality shows that catch my eye here and there. But I was about to let the time pass and not having put in any exercise. So I got my butt up, got out to the track, and I did some running. I ran yesterday. I ran today as well. So at least I got it in. So I say that to say some of the people can help motivate you, because you need those motivators around you obviously for the times when you don't feel like getting it in, But trust when I tell you, it's always harder in the beginning. Getting started is the hardest part, It is. It is. And even now, and I got to tell you, there are mornings when I'm just tired. Long days, I'm exercising. Sometimes I wonder, am I doing too much? But my body is tired, but I'm so in the habit of getting up and going to the park in the morning. Sometimes I can't help myself. And what happens is, and on the mornings when I don't really feel like it, I'm grumbly. My mouth is all curled up, and I start walking, and I'm walking slow. And in about 6 minutes, all of a sudden, I guess some of those endorphins kick in, or the serotonin levels balance out. You got to check with a neuro person to get the specifics on that. I know that is something, but sometimes it has to do with the balance of chemicals within our body. And I know that exercise definitely helps it definitely addresses depression. Definitely addresses depression. But it also helps enhance your mood. Those endorphins kick in and your mood changes. And my mood literally changes within a 6 to 7 minute period. Till all of a sudden, I don't feel like doing this hey, man, this ain't as bad as I thought. Whoa, wait a minute, I got a little bounce to my step. Man, I'm going to start running. So I go out there because I know that no matter how I enter it, I know that once I get into the exercise and into the run, I know that the other things that are going to take over. But trust when I say that I did not know these things when I started out. Like a lot of you. I'd start out and I'd hit that wall and I'd just say, forget about it. Or you exercise really good for a couple of days, and on day 3, you're more sore than you could imagine, not knowing that the remedy to the soreness is to go back and do more exercise sometimes. We'll be specific on that in another podcast episode. Sometimes it is. I can remember my college coach saying, hey guys, and this is the day after the game, make sure you get out and go walk a mile or two. You just want to break up the lactic acids. I guess those were the things that cause some of the soreness in your body. It wasn't, you're not going hard and heavy, but you just want to break a little sweat, loosen up your muscles, get the blood circulating, start feeling good. You let those things happen. So, again, that's something that it took a period of time for me to begin to realize. So when I talk about learning from those quote unquote failures, that's one of the things I learned, is that I learned that go anyway. Go anyway. Once you're motivated to get up and get out, sometimes it's just by force habit, but that despite how I may feel when I start, I know that when I get into the exercise, I'm going to start feeling better. It has not failed me yet. But if I allowed that negative feeling in the beginning to dictate how I would respond for the rest of the track, I wouldn't have gotten the benefit of the exercise I got in, Now let's flip that over and let's apply that to life. How many times do we walk into something that seems negative or seems difficult, and we allow what it seems to be to stop us from moving forward? not knowing what lies ahead of us. All we know is, man, I don't know. That's that whole, hey, sometimes you got to eat that elephant one bite at a time mentality you got to insert. Sometimes you just got to believe. You may not see it, but you just got to believe it. Sometimes that's what you got to do. And because, as I said, it's so easy in the very beginning to let those things weigh you down. Now, on top of the physical negative that you feel, you've got this huge mental block. So much so to you're almost afraid. You're almost afraid to go out there now, because I've had that happen with people. And, oh, hey, I want to come walk with you, want to exercise with you. Okay, let's go. We'll get it in. And a couple of days pass, and then all of a sudden, that text I would get, hey, let's go. I don't get that text. All of a sudden, the call, you don't see them out there, and they're not doing, you don't see them getting it in. And then when you finally speak to them, I just had some stuff come up, and this, and it may be true. It very well may be true. But the person who's made up their mind to exercise is going to exercise. I don't care if you're going to the park. I don't care if you're going to be in your home. You got a tape. You're going to flip on something on YouTube. You got to find a way to outsmart yourself. Okay? So, and again, something I learned. I was able to, if you look inside the trunk of my vehicle, I've got three exercise mats. I got a couple of yoga blocks. I do some yoga out at the park sometimes in the mornings. And by the way, yoga is strength training. I don't know who talked about making you flexible. Yoga is strength training. Another podcast, another day. But I get my yoga in. I got some exercise stuff downloaded on my phone. I've got it on my iPad. I got it on my laptop. So I need to put my jump rope in my car because I need to get back on that. But I'm just saying that to say that, let's say it rained outside and, hey, I can't go to the park and run. Well, shoot, I can put in my exercise stuff and my yoga DVDs or my stuff, and I can still get my work in. I can pull up the jump rope and get outside, and I can turn that jump rope. Let's say I got to go out of town unexpectedly. Well, shoot, I got to spend the night. Well, I can hop on the floor of the hotel room and I can get some ab work in. I can use my phone and the program I got on my phone for my exercises. I can follow that, Another, and that's another thing I'm very high on is making your exercise portable, So, and all that goes into how would I advise you get started? I would advise you to plan. What I'm talking about here, all that I've been talking about and got more to talk about, and I'll probably flip it over to my next podcast, is that you've got to plan this stuff out. Exercise isn't by accident. You don't want to lose weight by accident. You want to plan this thing out. You want to plan this thing out. You want to get it right. You want to know that what you're doing has an effect or what effect it has on it. Whether that be your output or your intake. Whether that be the food you take in or the information you take in or the people that you surround yourself with. Because sometimes if you're that person who's got to lose weight, for some of us, losing weight or the weight that we've gained represents a negative that we're holding on to. Now, wait a minute, we're going into some higher level stuff here. You see, it ain't just about the eating, it's about the why we eat. I learned to realize that I'm an emotional eater. Like a lot of people, I was raised in a family where the word celebration and food were synonymous. The words let's get together and we gonna eat go hand in hand. I promise you that's just the way we were raised. And you start to it will behoove you to begin to pay attention to yourself and the signals that you are sending out and the reasons behind the why. Sometimes it ain't the food. Sometimes it's that thing that you hadn't gotten past. That loved one that you're not getting along with. That love that you lost. That person who's you're no longer with. Whether you're divorced or broken up and it didn't go so hot or it still got you upset. Or it's that person for whom we keep trying to please. But we don't realize they'll never be pleased. But we still living our lives for that person. Some of us are that way. Through no fault. Right here, right now. It's not about It's not about pointing the finger and putting you at fault. It's about finding what your truth is and recognizing that truth and finding a solution. The thing is that everybody has a problem. Not everybody has a solution. Become a problem solver. And that is the same thing that you have to apply to your efforts to lose weight. Become a problem solver. And soon you will begin solving your own problems and putting the things in place, as I talked about, that I've learned to do. I'm not saying I got this thing perfected, but I am saying I soon will. But you've got to learn to guard against yourself, Sometimes I don't go to certain restaurants. Sometimes I don't go to certain eateries around town because the likelihood of me grabbing something sometimes is great. Sometimes I could sit right across from you at a restaurant and you could have all the desserts and all the great food you want, and mentally I'm good. But I got to know that for myself. And each of us are at different places along this journey. And again, for those of you who, like I said, I'm addressing those of you who are at that beginning place or who are beginning again. It's not about necessarily going cold turkey, but it's about doing some of the small things on the front end, because doing those very small things can and will turn into some very major results on the back end. A lot of people, and believe it or not, if you haven't exercised in a while, you're overweight, you're clinically obese, what have you. A lot of times in a week's time, you can drop 10 to 15 pounds by making a couple of slight adjustments. And I ain't talking about none of them having to do with exercise, just a couple of slight adjustments in what you eat, how you eat, when you eat. And believe it or not, you can start to see results, because that's all you need is a little encouragement to keep you going to the next goal. Hey folks, this is Lou Riley signing off with another episode of the Lou Riley Live Show. Listen, be sure to subscribe to my podcast. Go to iTunes. In that search box, type in Lou Riley Live and click subscribe to my show. I want you guys to get this information when it comes out. I'll be back with you later on this week with another part of I guess this is now a series on how I would advise you to get started when you've got to lose weight. When you've got to lose a little weight, when you got to lose lots of weight, How I would advise you getting tongue-tied. How would I advise you on getting started? So guys, this is Lou Riley. Once again, go to iTunes, find that search box in the upper right-hand corner, type in Lou Riley Live, and subscribe to my podcast. All right? Hey guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate you taking a listen to what I've got to say, and hopefully this adds a little something more to your life, because it definitely adds to mine sharing with you. Take care.